Corcoran State Prison sits in California's Central Valley, surrounded by farmland and heat. From the outside, it looks like many other high-security facilities. Concrete walls, guard towers, razor wire. Inside, it operates under a reputation built over decades. This is a prison designed for control. It holds inmates classified as some of the most violent in the state system. Many are validated gang members. The environment is rigid. Movement is limited. Surveillance is constant. Every routine is calculated. If stories like this matter to you, consider subscribing, because what happens next reveals how this system truly works. The prison opens in 1988, during a period of rapid expansion in California's correctional system. Overcrowding is rising across the state. Lawmakers respond with new facilities built to house maximum security populations. Corcoran is one of them. From the start, it is structured around separation. Housing units are divided by race and gang affiliation. Daily life is governed by lockdowns, tier releases, and strict enforcement. The stated goal is safety. The practical result is permanent tension. Corcoran's design emphasizes isolation. Inmates spend most hours in cells. Yards are segmented into small concrete enclosures. These yards are not open spaces. They are controlled pens. Groups are released in limited numbers. Guards oversee movement from elevated positions. Firearms are present. Lethal force is authorized under specific circumstances. The official policy states that deadly force is a last resort. At Corcoran, that boundary becomes dangerously blurred. During the early 1990s, a series of shootings occurs inside the exercise yards. In multiple cases, inmates are placed together despite documented hostility. Some are known rivals. Some are confirmed enemies. When violence breaks out, guards fire into the yard. In several incidents, inmates are killed. Others are seriously wounded. Initially, these shootings are described as justified responses to inmate fights. Internal reports frame them as necessary interventions. Investigations later reveal a different pattern. Evidence shows that officials knowingly release incompatible inmates into the same yard. Records indicate prior warnings. Enemy lists are ignored. Inmates are sometimes placed together as a means of control. The expectation is that violence will occur. When it does, guards respond with lethal force. Prosecutors and federal investigators examine these incidents closely. Several shootings are ruled unjustified. The narrative of spontaneous violence collapses. One of the most disturbing aspects is consistency. The shootings follow similar conditions. Small yards. Known rivalries. Armed oversight. The repetition suggests design, not accident. Internal culture plays a role. At Corcoran, force becomes a management tool. It sends a message. Resistance leads to consequences. The system relies on fear. Accountability remains limited. Federal scrutiny intensifies in the mid-1990s. Civil rights lawsuits expose internal communications and operational practices. Whistleblowers describe a culture that tolerates excessive force. Training emphasizes dominance. De-escalation receives little attention. Oversight mechanisms fail to intervene in time. Families of deceased inmates seek answers. Many never receive them. Corcoran's reputation spreads through the prison system. Inmates know what it represents. Transfers to Corcoran are feared. Guards from other facilities are aware of its standing. The prison becomes a symbol of extreme control. Administrative responses focus on tightening procedures rather than rethinking philosophy. The fundamental structure remains intact. Racial segregation defines daily operations. Inmates are classified by race and gang affiliation. Housing assignments reflect these divisions. Yard access is controlled along the same lines. Lockdowns are often imposed when racial tensions rise. In practice, segregation becomes permanent. It is enforced not only by inmates but by policy. This structure reduces spontaneous conflict while reinforcing long-term hostility. Gang influence remains strong. Validated gang members exert control within housing units. Informal rules govern behavior. Violations carry consequences. Prison officials rely on intelligence gathering to manage threats. Surveillance expands. Mail is monitored. Visits are restricted. The environment becomes increasingly closed. Trust erodes on all sides. Lockdowns are frequent. Entire units can remain confined for weeks or months. During lockdowns, inmates are limited to cells for most of the day. Programs are suspended. Exercise is minimal. Medical access is delayed. These conditions are justified as necessary for safety. Over time, they become routine. Mental health concerns escalate. Extended isolation affects behavior. Some inmates deteriorate visibly. Responses are procedural. Referrals are made. Treatment resources are limited. The focus remains on containment. Corcoran operates as a pressure chamber. Stress accumulates. Release valves are rare. Use of force incidents continue beyond the shootings. Chemical agents are deployed. Physical restraints are common. Compliance is enforced through overwhelming presence. Each action is documented. Reports follow standardized language. Patterns are difficult to challenge without external oversight. Media coverage in the 1990s brings national attention. Journalists uncover details of the shootings. Public reaction is muted but significant. The cases challenge assumptions about prison violence. The question shifts from inmate behavior to institutional responsibility. Corcoran becomes a reference point in discussions of correctional abuse. Reforms are proposed. Policies are rewritten. Training modules are updated. Oversight increases on paper. In practice, change is slow. The prison's core mission remains unchanged. It exists to hold those deemed uncontrollable. That label justifies extraordinary measures. Over time, Corcoran integrates into a broader system facing similar criticism. California's prisons struggle with overcrowding, lawsuits, and federal intervention. Corcoran stands out because of its history. The yard shootings are not forgotten. They are cited in reports and legal filings. They serve as warnings. Inmate populations change. Sentences lengthen. Some inmates age into lower-risk categories. Others arrive with new affiliations. The system adapts without transforming. Control remains the priority. Safety is defined narrowly. Human cost is treated as secondary. Corcoran's legacy influences policy debates. It raises questions about how far authority can go under the banner of security. It shows what happens when oversight fails. It demonstrates how violence can be institutionalized. Not through chaos, but through routine. Today, Corcoran continues to operate as a high-security facility. Procedures are more tightly regulated. Cameras are more prevalent. Documentation is extensive. Yet the underlying structure persists. Separation. Surveillance. Aggressive response. The lessons of the past remain relevant. The prison stands as a case study. It reveals the consequences of unchecked power. It shows how environments shape behavior. It illustrates the thin line between order and abuse. Corcoran does not exist outside the system. It reflects it. Understanding Corcoran requires confronting uncomfortable realities. Violence is not always a failure of control. Sometimes it is the result of design. Decisions made in offices affect lives in yards. Policies translate into outcomes. The distance between intent and impact narrows. For American viewers, Corcoran challenges familiar narratives. It complicates ideas about crime and punishment. It forces examination of how society manages those it fears most. The answers are not simple. The history is clear. Corcoran State Prison represents the ruthless edge of institutional authority. Its story is documented. its consequences are real. It remains a reminder that systems built on force tend to rely on it. And once normalized, that reliance is difficult to reverse.